All right. Hey, the meter is going up and down based on the sound of my voice. I am live, I think. Gosh, how is everyone today? It's a Friday. It's nice and sunny and warm, and got a big spring like weekend here. So, welcome everyone to Court of the Rings on twitch.tv/LotraStream. I'll be with you for the next hour, hanging out, having some fun. I'll be running some of the new instances, and I'll have some news here to kick off the start of the show. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for being here on this holiday weekend. For some, it's Easter. I got things to do. I don't know about you. I got things to do. All right, so we do have a little bit of news, though, that I could mention. First off, we did. Let me actually put this up on the screen if I can. We can talk about a few things. I'm trying to do something a little different with the display capture here, so let's hope this works. All right, it's a little rough around the edges, but this should work. All right, so we did have update 35.0.1 here this week, and it did include a few changes, including something that I know the community has raised some feedback about that we'll be taking a look at, so let's get started on it. So with the disarm effect, we're taking it to change it to work like silence, and we're removing some cases where a skill could be affected by both silence and disarm. The bigger one, though, is monster health and armor. Due to the changes in mastery, player damage has increased by quite a bit. And so we wanted to get a sense of where we sat on it. And with 35.0.1, we've adjusted monster morale at cap up by about 25%, scaling down to nothing at level 30. And then, as of level 116, monsters are receiving a bump in their base armor rating that increases their MITs from 37.5% to 45%. So my math says that's about 7.5%. Remains unchanged below this level. And pets and NPCs also get this benefit. Creeps not affected. I'll go back to that in just a little bit, but let's get through some of the other notes. We kind of messed up a little bit here. So various quests at Bale of Arc now provide an option to open the instance join panel directly to the related instance or raid, which is cool, except it's keeping like the raid rings above the NPC heads, and so we'll be reverting that change here actually in our next patch, which I'll have a little bit more information about later on in the show, but it'll be not next week, potentially the week after that. We've done a bunch of bug fixes related to, and polish related to the new instances. There were a couple of quests on the monster play side blocked behind completing an old version of the monster player tutorial. Those are now available. We fixed an issue where the skill Return to Glanvreg will now correctly execute and advance the tutorial quest. And we've updated the responses in Etten Moors to extend the bonus granted by controlling the mind to all territories in the Etten Moors. We fixed an issue where some Tier 11 and 12 specific deeds were not properly advancing with Tier 11/12 completed delving quests, and a minor display issue as well. So that was really this week's patch. I know the morale, something that people were like, oh my gosh, these monsters are too tough now. Bring it, get rid of it. And so what we're looking at what to do here for the short term, and we'll have more about that probably in the release notes so that we can provide more specific information. But we did know that the changes to masteries were going to increase damage output from players, and we also knew that now that we've done the work, we have better control over getting the damage balance right. So we're going to be making the changes. So we made the changes this week, and we'll be monitoring the feedback, and as things kind of settle in, we'll determine if we need to make adjustments. Are we too conservative? Is it too overtuned? I know I've been hearing from a few players that they feel the additional 25% morale is too much at cap, and so we could take a look at that here in the coming weeks. Spring-like lawn mowing for your weekend. I do not have to mow my lawn yet. I'm not quite there. It'll be a couple weeks yet, I think. But congratulations, and I'm sorry. Otherwise, I would let's see. Where did I put the page? Let me get this up here as well. I would say, I guess, one of the other things that we did this week is we released a Valar sale. And that's something that people have been wanting us to do for a while. So most of the Valars are now 20% off through April 13th. But we also introduced the 140 Valar this week. So there's a page you can look at on Locher.com if you want to get a little bit more information about it. But it's standard Valar, except it's level 140. And it's only available for a limited time. And so it might come back in the future, but we'll see. And for now, it is available through April 13th. So I would suggest perhaps not waiting if that is something that you want to get. So that's really the other kind of big news this week. You know, we had last weekend, we had the April Fool's event, which by all indications went quite well. I had a lot of fun. I think the live stream last Friday was one of our better ones in a while, at least. It was a good time for us and I think the people who watched it. And where was I going with this? Oh, and so we then worked to get the patch out this week. We're working on 35.1. That'll be released not next week, but perhaps the week after that. We'll have more information on the downtime as we get closer to it, but perhaps something like Wednesday the 19th might be update 35.1. And then we've got our anniversary, coming up here in the real near future. So we will have a whole lot more that we can say about our anniversary sales and some things that we're doing there as we get closer to it. I assume there will be a live stream for the anniversary this year. I have a thing I can't show this because it's got my address on it. But I got a jury summons. I got a jury summons that happens to be on April 25th. So that kind of sucks. So that means I'm going to have to do the anniversary live stream before that. So probably roughly maybe the 21st will be our anniversary live stream. I guess I'm going to kind of have to see how that goes. So, but I don't want to try to risk it and say it'll be that following Friday because I don't know what's going to happen in terms of jury service. For those who maybe are outside of the United States, it is compulsory. You do have to show up. And that doesn't mean you're going to serve on a jury. That just means you have to show up and be available to serve on a jury pool that day. Most of the time, a lot of times, you'll show up and they'll be like, there's nothing scheduled for today, head on home. But you never know. I could be deciding the fate of some legal case here that week. And so I don't really want to schedule a live stream from the jury room. I think they're cool with that. I think they'd be okay. I mean, hey, I know we got a trial or whatever going on, but I got a live stream, man. Can we just bring in a laptop and it's got to run Lotro, but it'll be fine. So yeah, so that's my life here right now. It's probably going to be nothing. I'll probably just show up. You have to show up at 8 o'clock in the morning to the courthouse. They'll tell me what to do from there. But based on my experience as a reporter from back in the day, 9 times out of 10 you show up and you're not needed and you're sent home. But then there is that one other time. So that is, in fact, actually Hangelman, that there are people who deliberately try to get out of jury service by showing up and being like, you know what I hate? Justice. Justice sucks. And, see if they can get out of jury service that way. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. But we'll see. I think that's really most of the news here. I did want to, though, let me make sure I can still do that. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to put up this. This is very much work in progress. But we are getting a lot closer to getting the new forums ready to go. And this is actually not the version of the forums that you're going to see. This is sort of a test version that's in an internal environment. But I was able to bring it up here, and I wanted to kind of show off some of the features here of the new forums. At launch, I don't think it's going to have a dark mode. There's a lot of work that has to go on to actually create a dark mode. It's not available by default through the service. So basically, someone like myself, a design team or whatever, is going to have to go in and flip all the elements to make it a dark mode. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm almost guaranteed that's not going to happen in time for launch. However, I like dark mode. Other people like dark mode. So if we can bring it to a dark mode here in the near future, we'll do that. And I should be able to do that. It just isn't going to be ready for launch. Okay. So, the reason I wanted to call it up is I wanted to show you a little bit of what we've got going on. I actually have an announcement I'm working on. I don't have a forum thread here yet, but let me call up something just so you can kind of see a little bit about what we have going on. So for a thread title, you can do whatever you want. Let's say, let's talk about what foxes say. They say things. But there's some other options here. You have a poll option. And this will allow you to create an actual poll. We have polls on the forums now. I've read this week that someone didn't actually know that we had polls. But we do. We do, currently. But they're going to be a lot better under this new forums, including the ability for users to change their votes, allow results to be viewed without voting. You can close it. You can display votes publicly if you want to, and things like that. There's also an article format, which really isn't going to be too representative here, but let me just post this up if I can. We could take a look. Okay, well, this just shows like this, but essentially it's a little bit more... Well, you can see the text is above rather than below. So it's written in kind of an article format. It's mostly just a formatting thing, but it reads a little bit more like the OP is a prominent kind of article rather than just sort of a discussion thread. The other one, though, I would call out is question. This is not new to the internet, but will be quite a bit new, I think, for the LOTRA community. I'm pretty excited to see whether people like it, how people use it, and that sort of thing. I should note that all this stuff can be changed. We're going to be going live with the forums, and then we'll respond to the community as we need to on things. If people don't like various features, or if they want functionality or whatever, then that's something we can do over time here. But I wanted to debut it because I want to try to see how it works. I think this could be particularly good for the kind of things about long-term questions that come up from new players, returning players. Essentially, all it really does is you'll say, question, what does the fox say? They say things, and then post it. Oh, well, I've got a gating going on here. I can't post it for another minute and a half, but you'll post it. It'll just show up like a regular forum post, but on the right-hand side, there'll be like a plus, a thumbs up thing. And the answer to the question that gets the most votes will show up underneath the main quotes, or it's similar to how Reddit and Quora use it. If you've ever been to Quora or Reddit, you'll know that there are ways to do like questions and then get the best answer right underneath the post. And that's going to be available now under these new forums. So I think that's pretty cool feature that we're going to be able to add here. I would also just point out, based on my own experience so far, we have much better table formatting under these new forums. We have spoiler tags under these new forums. That's pretty exciting too. We have much wider media that you can use. Apple Music, Dailymotion, Facebook, Flickr, Giphy, Imager, LiveLeak, Metacafe, Pinterest, Reddit, SoundCloud, Spotify, TikTok, Tumblr, Twitch, Twitter, Vimeo, and some small service called YouTube are going to be kind of approved URLs. Right now, it's kind of hard to post some videos that aren't on YouTube or Twitch. And we're going to have more flexibility there as well. So I'm pretty excited to see like the poll, article, question, discussion, things happening there. The other bit I would mention quick, like I said, this is not final, but this is all work in progress for a little while yet. But I did want to mention that we do still have, the French and German forums. I've redone part of the what was our like account support, technical support forums. The intention of those things was never to be like a this is where we answer you. It was always this is where players can answer each other. So I'm being more specific about that. Not that we won't continue to do some answering and things in there, but the purpose is really about player-to-player assistance. So one of the things I really want to call out here is this. This is a test. We'll see. We'll see how this works. And if I get a lot of pushback, maybe Cordo will just be wrong and deal with it. But I have a specific bug discussion forums that I've created under these new player-to-player support forums. And one of the things I've added to it is this field right here. I don't know if you can see where I'm circling with my mouse. Kind of. Bug report number. So my hope is that we can get buy-in from the community to finally close the gap between the bug reports that are submitted to us through help.standingstonegames.com and the bug reports that are submitted to us through the forums. I'm requiring that if you want to post in the bug discussion forums as an OP, that you include your bug report number. Hopefully this will motivate some more people to actually file bug reports rather than just sort of, blast it down the forums and call it done. Now you can cheat it. If you want to just put in any old number, you can. And then it'll just short-circuit the process. What my hope is that this will get people to submit the bug report, and then they can submit the question, discussion, bug, or whatever on the forums, and then on our end, not only will the players and everyone watch know that, yes, this has actually been submitted, but also it'll give us a way to close that gap. Sometimes the information like character names or whatever you provide in the bug ticket don't match up to your forum name that you're using. And so it'll be like, well, we have to read the post and then we got to find the bug. But if you don't include the bug number, then sometimes that gets really difficult. So my hope is that we can really improve the internal communication outward and outward communication inward regarding some of these bugs that get filed on a regular basis through the forums by requiring this bug report number. Like I say, if I got a ton of pushback on it, well, we'll do what we have to do. But my hope is that you'll see the value of this as well. By submitting the bug report and doing that, then we can reply directly to you through the ticket if we need to, although we don't typically do that for bug reports. More likely that we will reply to you through the forums, but then we'll have that information so that we can actually just developer or whoever is reading the bug report will be able to very quickly look up the information that you've put together as a formally submitted bug report, and then perhaps use this to sort through any details or questions or community discussion about what the nature of the bug is, the cause of the bug is, the details of the bug, and things like that. So I'm pretty excited by this idea. I don't know if it's going to work. It's a little experimental, I guess you could say. But I do like the idea of it, and we're going to see what we can do. The other bit I would mention is I'm really creating a creator and maker space. I really want this to be a place where it's not the old fan site news or whatever. I don't even, I don't know if Locher ever really got much fan site news, but this is for YouTubers, Twitchers, streamers, artists, creative types, writers, fiction, whatever. Can all put it in this one space. And I want to call out this one specific forum as well as a place where, okay, I got a 3 times a week Twitch stream, and I want to post in the forums of what I'm doing that day. And, both promote my channel, but also let people know what I'm up to. And so I'm going to be a little more flexible about creating a thread and then just, say, posting every day in the thread that you've created about your Twitch channel or whatever. This is a good place to put that. There's also going to be some, I don't know if can I do this without, yeah, I think I can do this. And again, some of this is not quite done yet, so whatever. But let's see, I'm a little afraid to click this on live on stream. But if you go into your profile, well, actually, you know what, I'll do it, whatever, it'll be fine. Let me drop the screen quick. Not that one. There we go. Let me make sure everything's cool. Yeah, it's fine. All right. Here we go. So you'll be able to add a profile banner. I'm just using the Before the Shadow as a placeholder here, but you'll be able to add your own profile banner to really a profile page that you'll have. Now, profile pages exist under vBulletin, the old forums, but this is really a home for your content in a way that the other stuff is not, because you can link to it. You can update your status like a social media feed or whatever, but it's more than just that, because you have these same options to do articles and what have you here. So this might be a place for if you're tracking your journey, for example. You can actually almost, it's like a blog essentially, but it's more than just a blog, because you can create, different kinds of posts and things like that. So I'm kind of looking forward to this option as well. It's going to give people a little bit more of a creative home space if they want to utilize it for that under the new forums, and that sounds pretty cool. I would also say behind the scenes, there's a bunch of kind of technical improvements that have been made as well. Let me see if I can find my list here. You'll be able to post a thread directly from the forum homepage. So when you go to the forum homepage, there'll be an option in the upper right to post a thread, and then it'll give you the list of threads to post into. You don't have to use this. You can just do it like normal, going into a thread and posting, or a forum and posting it. But you can do it right away as well, and kind of go from post, I want it to be in general, I want it to be an article, and then whatever. We have some additional list options. We have smileys and emoticons that are somewhat new. We have the ability to save and to delete drafts. So if you want to work up a pretty significant write-up of some kind, and maybe take a day or two to do it, you can do that much more easily now. Previewing, I don't know about you, maybe it's just because of the user group I'm in being like the admin of the forums, but preview under the current forums does not look very good and does not work very well. And it's going to work much, much better under these new forums. And we've also got a lot more options to like watch threads, toggle on and off email notifications, get some email summaries, like weekly summaries if that's your thing. All these could be opted into and out of as well, and that should be pretty nice. We also, I don't want to commit to this yet. My hope is to allow people to be able to use their own forum avatars. And we do have Gravatar support. I don't know how many people use Gravatars out there, but some people do. And so that'll be an option as well if you are a Gravatar user. But my hope is to allow for much more wider custom avatars, kind of like what, honestly, most forums in 2023 let you do. But yes, it opens the door to further abuse, but we'll just deal with it in the same way we deal with any other moderation on the forums. If you upload an avatar that's inappropriate, well, you're going to get removed from the forums. So don't. But this will let people do a lot more, and I think it'll do transparent PNGs as well. We have better sharing options. Let me go back to the forums quick and see if I can go back to my what the fox says. What the fox say? It's kind of gray on gray right now. Let me bring this page back up. It's kind of gray on gray right now, but you can see down here we have a social link thing. You can post directly to a link to it directly to Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, which should be pretty nice. All those Pinterest users out there can do that. Tumblr, WhatsApp, email, but then this one too. It's kind of nice. You can just hit that button and copy the link directly. That's kind of a nice little feature as well. Like you say, unwatch and watch, and then at least Well, that would be a moderator decision. But there's some other kind of little bits that'll show up based on the kind of post that's there. The forum URL will not change. It's still going to be forums.lotra.com. As we've been saying here, really for, gosh, a couple of years now, we are going to be nuking the existing forums. They're going to be still around. You'll be able to read them in a read-only state. And the URL is expected to be something, well, it'll be like whatever old or whatever previous or something like that. We'll figure out the URL here and announce it to you when the time comes. But the existing forums are going to be put into a read-only state. You won't be able to log in. You won't be able to post. You will be able to see it, and you will be able to copy over any of the stuff that you want to copy into the new forums. And that should hopefully work out pretty well. Just like you do now, you'll use your game account username and password to log in. And each forum account will be tied to a game account. Now, I'm going to say that I am not entering this next debut of the forums without, what do I want to say? I am clear-headed heading into these new forums that there will be a little bit of a name land grab rush. And it is my hope that everyone operates in a nice orderly fashion and picks only their names and doesn't try to snipe other people's names, what have you. But I also know, because I've been doing this for 12 years, that there's a whole bunch of people who fight amongst themselves sometimes about who should get X name, because character X is owned by player Y on one server, and character X is owned by player Z on another server. They both post on the forums, and they both want the same forum name. So yes, there will be some people who are going to get there first and take your name. I'm not going to be changing your forum name just because you didn't get the one you wanted. But if someone deliberately tries to snipe your name, like, not to call you out, but Ponton, you're going to get Ponton Finberry if you want it, you know, in chat here. You know, you're well known enough in the forums here that clearly anyone who would be trying to take Ponton Finberry would most likely be doing it because they want to steal your name. And so, you know, we'll make sure that folks who are being kind of deliberately targeted do get their proper names and what have you. So I am somewhat clear-headed knowing that we're going to be heading into this and opening up a little bit of, here's a can of worms, let's open it. But at the same time, this is going to be much better in the long run. One of the things that has become clear for years, just years at this point, is that there really isn't a good way to try to retrofit layer upon layer upon layer of old, crusty, outdated, somewhat broken management systems, and then yet add another layer to it and end up with really good forums. So that's why we're doing the thing where we put it into a read-only state, and then start fresh with new forums here. And so that does mean that there will be a little bit of a land grab in terms of names. And I expect, though, actually similar to maybe, you know, when Treebeard and Shadowfax opened, or Bombadil and things like that, on Ornithal. It'll be a crazy 48 hours, and then things will settle down. I also expect most of, well, maybe I shouldn't say most, but a large percentage of active regular forum users are going to be able to just grab their name no problem right away, and it'll be fine. But in cases where we do have conflicts, we're just going to have to deal with them on a case-by-case basis and get through it and end up in a much better place long term. I don't know if I can promise this yet, but currently, the way I have it set up right now, you can change your own forum name. Now, again, that could lead to abuse and other things, just like avatars and signatures and just about anything else you try to post creatively anywhere. I recognize that if people can change their own forum names, I have it currently set to once per week, that we could have some problems there. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. You don't have to change your name. But if you want If you want to, you'll no longer have to have me do it. We're going to see how that rolls. Yeah, in reality, my experience from name timing issues is that you really only have a couple percentage points of problems. Most folks are able to log in quickly. It should be pretty easy. You're just going to log in with your game account credentials, pick your new name, hit enter, boom, you're done. It'll take 10 seconds. It should be fine. But we'll see what happens. So. Yeah, lotteries doesn't exist under the new forums. Nothing like that. But I don't understand what you're saying there, Squirrel. What do you mean? Can we finally scrap or can we scrap or autofill the 20 bug things? It sounds like you're looking for better efficiency in bug report submission through help.standingstonegames.com. That could be something we could do, although it's generally there for a reason. It may not be applicable for all bugs, but it is important to gather as much info as we can when we're looking at bug reports in particular. And so I would not actually think we would want to do that, although the idea of autofilling sure would be nice. That would involve a level of hookup to the game client that just doesn't exist. But and yeah, you're looking at this is not the formal. Things could change, but this is roughly kind of where we are today here on these forums. I guess I don't know if there's really anything else I feel we need to mention here about this. I did a little bit of work based on some suggestions from the community to have gameplay discussion rather than like adventuring in Middle Earth, which is what I believe it's currently called. It's a little unclear as to like what the point of it is. And so instead I've sorted it out for now into gameplay discussion, which is, systems essentially. Trait, steeds, skirmishes, delvings, missions, mounted combat, etc. Can go into gameplay. Landscape content will be landscape content. Instance content will be separated out into instance content. I do have subforums on all of the classes right now. I do have subforums. I moved these subforums for PvMP servers to the PvMP forums. I think that's a good idea. Maybe not, but we can always change it later if we need to. And I guess that's about it. I changed Sharer Tolkien to the Professor just because it seemed cute and I liked it. Oh, and music and musicians, guides and facts, cosmetics and appearances, user interface, plugins, Lewis scripting, crafting housing, legendary items. By default, I'm testing this out as well. I am not actually 100% settled on this yet, but by default right now, I have the suggestion forums set up to be weighed. And that would essentially mean similar to like the Quora answers and things like that. Player suggestions can get some weighing there. I'm kind of going back and forth on that. I think there are good cases for it. There are good cases against it. But I know over the years, reading the player suggestion forums, people have often said, my suggestion feels lost. How do I know it's being, it's a good one? Can I get further feedback? And the idea of having some weighed player suggestion forums, not like down or anything like that, but you can sort it by most popular, essentially. Or most active. There's a bunch of things like that. Or you could just do it by default date, which you can do. So we'll see. I could always just flip a switch and make it a regular forum if I need to, but I want to try it out because I think it might be an improvement in the way that we can surface some of the best player suggestions. It'll be the same login as your game client. So the same username and password that you use to log into the game will be used to log into the new forums, which is what you do now too, but it'll carry over into the new one. And then if you don't have a forum account set up yet, you'll be asked to create one just like now. Is there anywhere for the Lochero role players? I think there is not yet. That is a good question. I should add one. In some ways, creator maker space would make sense. In some ways, the servers and that. But you're right. I probably should just create a separate role playing forum. But I think I'm trying to remember why I didn't carry it over. I think it was really due to popularity. Our existing roleplay forums just don't really get used that much. And the few times that it does get used, it could just as well go into a different forum as well. However, I'm not opposed. Not opposed to like RP forums. Yeah, we have like when you look at the current RP forums on Lochero.com, you see one thread from April, one from February, one from January, one from October. And so it looks like about once a quarter we get a post in there. Roughly about once a quarter. But that's fine. I don't mind having some RP forums. I can do that. So it's good catch. Good catch. So all right, well, I think that will probably cover the news section. In terms of timing, it isn't settled yet. I have some work to do. What I showed you was actually kind of a mock version of the forums. I have to do the actual work now. This was sort of a design staging version of the forums I showed you, and then it gets carried over into like a final state, and then we build up that final state, and then we release the final state. And so pretty much all the stuff I showed you is not showing up at today right now on the forums that will eventually go live. But they will. They will. I would expect... I've got an announcement currently being translated that I'll be posting potentially something like next week for the forum post. And then I don't know that I can give a date yet, but I think we're looking at, right now, tentatively, we're looking at early May for the actual transition to the new forums. So we're not months away. We're not years away. It's currently, September of 2018? And I said we'd be getting new forums in like 2018? And I said we'd be getting new forums in 2019. Well, we're getting new forums, and it's actually happening. It's actually happening. And it should be here within a month or so. We're looking at early May for an actual deployment on it. And we'll have more information. And I'm going to have a formal announcement post that'll go up. Something will go on the launcher. Something will go across social media and the existing forums and what have you, to make sure lots of people are aware that this is going to be happening. But this is going to be happening. It's actually going to happen. And I am very personally excited for it. And as always, this isn't going to be like, this is done, and now we're done forever. The forums can adapt and evolve over time based on the needs and wishes of the community. So. Yeah, I can't, I don't even know why I didn't include a roleplay forum under the new forum. So I'm looking back on it, and I think at the time, we hadn't even had the April post at the time I was last doing that work, and so it had been, I think we had 4 posts over the last year or so. And so I think in my mind I was like, well, we can just roll that into creators and makers space. But I think there are pretty good reasons to not do that and have it called out in its own separate section as well. So that's cool. We can do that. No problem. All right, let me get in game here. And we'll roll with the end of the stream here with a little bit of instances. How about I think I did Lara Vermin 2 weeks ago? Was it 2 weeks ago I did Lara Vermin? I can't remember. So we'll try Saint-Lor, the Poisoned Gardens. There is one thing that I am a little concerned about related to the old forums, but I'm hoping we're going to be able to resolve it. But right now, for a technical reason that is still being worked on, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to deliver on my promise to let people set their own custom titles. I mean, it's something I wanted to do. I was hoping to do. But currently, the system is not functioning very well in terms of the title system specifically. I can set title ladders, you know, you've made X amount of posts and you get X forum title. But it's not quite working in terms of letting people pick their own forum titles. So I may be proven a liar on that part and not be able to do it. But we'll see what happens. If I can, I want to. Just like signatures, banners, forum names, and everything else, you know, there is a potential for abuse with opening up just wide forum titles to the community. But I kind of feel it'll be alright. Maybe I'm being naive. But for the most part, our title system wasn't a problem under the old system, and I really don't see it being a problem if people can pick their own, and if they do, well, treat it just like anything else, right? If you abuse the system and break the rules, it doesn't really matter whether it's a post or a name or a picture or a banner or whatever, it's going to get moderated. And if it gets too bad, well, we can turn it off. But I don't want to not debut it just because of the potential for abuse. And I don't really have any reason to believe that allowing users to set their own custom forum titles is going to lead to more abuse than you'd see any other system. It seems like it would be fine, would be how I would describe it. But we'll see. If we need to, we can make an adjustment there. But it may not even be an issue, because unfortunately it may not be working. I'm sorry to say. Hopefully we can get it working here in the near future. However, and part of it is, I think, that profile banner. Because I think right now the profile banner is competing in some ways with the forum title behind the scenes. And I haven't quite been able to figure that one out yet. Yes. We are going to be bringing in two-factor authentication in the near future. That'll happen through the game launcher, and then it'll be brought to general login. I don't think we can add it just for the forums. There's technically a checkbox I can check, but it won't actually know what to use until the account management system supports it. And that'll be something that we've been working on and will be bringing out here in the future. Timing on that, TBD. But yes, is the answer. I know we have engineers who have been working on it just in recent weeks, so progress is being made. Oh, let's see what's going on. Yeah. I talked about Daddy John. I talked about the morale update to monsters at the start of the show here. We released an update at end cap. By about 25%, we raised morale in response to raising damage quite a bit more than that a few weeks earlier. And we'll be keeping an eye on what we need to do, essentially. If we need to adjust it, we can. That'll be a decision from someone like Orion and others who are able to deep dive into the numbers and figure out what the best path forward is. So at this point, we've heard your feedback. We are listening to it, and we'll continue to, so feel free to keep providing it. And I would expect to see if we need to, we can make some adjustments either way in the future. One of the things that Orion has been, and others, Vastin and Tiber and other folks, have been doing is putting in place a lot more tools to be able to work on balance. We've been talking about that. Gosh, I think I first talked about that a couple of years ago, about some of the tooling that was being done to increase game balance. And it's going to give the developers a lot more opportunity to get more granular with it and be able to adjust in the curves as you work all the way from level 1 all the way up to 140. So now that we have those tools in place, we're going to be able to respond hopefully more granularly and more swiftly to feedback from the community related to specific spots of game balance that folks feel we need to do work on. I have been so busy this week, I have not had an opportunity to actually play this stuff, a lot of stuff myself to judge. So perhaps in this coming week here, I'm going to be able to get a better sense of, oh my gosh, it's too difficult, that some folks are talking about. Alright, I need to get to a better place here. Let me get a better spot to fight. There we go. Ah! Oh, I'm toast. Alright, well, fine. Let me retreat and try that again. Yeah, so it sounds like we've got some work that we'll need to do related to Hidden Horde and other bits. You again. What? Really? Oh my gosh. Well, maybe we're seeing it here, aren't we? Not that I'm a good judge of difficulty. It's definitely hitting pretty hard, I'll say that. It's a lot of morale. I've got you now, I hope. I think. Yay. Where was that? Yeah, this one's got some tricky bits, that's for sure. There's a few fights in here that could get pretty overwhelming, I have found. A lot easier, of course, if you're hanging out with friends, but... pull them yet. Yeah. Someone was saying, you know, mounted combat is a little bit of a deprecated system outside of running around the wilderness. I suppose that's probably true. Maybe someday, huh? All right. I am not sure, Schmooze. I'm not prepared to answer that question right now. I would need to kick it to someone over on the team to investigate the impacts of power with mounted combat power. Wow! Wow! Yeet! I think that's called dwarf tossing, isn't it? I don't know if dwarves are okay with that. We have opened up paid transfers from Shadowfax and Treebeard. Part of the work on that was to double check and make sure that the landscape difficulty work that exists on the legendary worlds wasn't going to cause problems, and it isn't. So we were able to open up the paid transfers for now from those two worlds if you want to. Players have already pointed this out, but it is worth mentioning here as well that Shadowfax is going to be coming to a close this year. Really pretty soon on top of it. Not that soon. We still have, before the Shadow and things to get out. But it's going to be kind of later this spring. So, if you've been wanting to transfer from Shadowfax and you want to do it for free, you might want to hang on there. But it's an option for those of you who really want to go now, or perhaps want to go from Treebeard, where it is going to be quite a bit longer before they would see the end of their legendary world.
You don't belong to the garden. Takaoka, deal with these intruders.
Time to see what Oganwin sorceries have brought.
This could be tough. We'll have to see how this goes. Ah. So I'm trying to concentrate here a little bit. Not die. And they are just tossing my poor Stampion around like nothing in this quest. Poor guy is hopping around like Mario. Which is happening this weekend, isn't it? Yeah, speaking of games that aren't Lotro and things. But, you know, as gamers, I think Mario Brothers kind of crosses all streams, as it was. I don't think I'm going to get to see the Mario movie. But wouldn't it be amazing if it was good right after having a really good D&D movie? Just the final weekend. I don't know. You know, there's some Lotro DDO crossover, and there's plenty of Lord of the Rings Dungeons & Dragons crossover. And I love that new movie that came out. It has Cordo's strong recommendation, thumbs up. It's fantastic. Highly recommended that everyone who wants to go see it. I can't speak to future plans related to the legendary game worlds at this time. Get called into a room somewhere. Wait a second. So it was like last 2 minutes of your show and you said what? I'd like to avoid that on this weekend, if at all possible. But you know, we'll have more information about the legendary worlds in the future. I don't actually think I have time to finish this today. Maybe. We're running a few minutes long, but I have to go myself because I got a lot happening today and this weekend. relatively quickly straight to Ogonwin. I shouldn't have talked so much about the forums, I guess. Could have gotten this done. Excuse me. I loved the new D&D movie. Just to say it, I absolutely love it. You know, I'm an old school D&D nerd. I've been playing D&D since I was about 8 years old. And that was in the early 1980s. It was in the 1900s, as the kids say.
What is this? How dare you interrupt my work? Guards!
And, you know, I grew up loving the Bakshi movies. Bakshi movies, however you say it. Of Hobbit, Return of the King. I like them all. I think they're all great. I like The Greatest Adventure. I think it's a good song. I think Glenn Yarborough's A-OK. That's how old I am. But there was never a good D&D movie. Krull came close, but Krull had lasers. Lasers didn't count, at least not in the 1980s. We had Conan, but Conan didn't really have much magic. Very, very small amount of it, but not a D&D style magic, that kind of thing. So, you know, we never really had a good D&D movie. We had plenty of good Lord of the Rings movies, especially thanks to the Jackson stuff, right? But D&D? Not until now. Not only is it good, it's very good. Absolutely love it. It's fantastic. I've seen it twice already, and I want to see it a third time. That's how much I like it. Alright, well, this time I know, thanks to the work that was done, I think last time I ran this, that I actually need to save that corruption skill to prevent the self-healing. Thanks to whoever mentioned that one in chat. Speaking of healing.
Breathe it in!
That's true. We had the D&D cartoon, so we did. It's not that we didn't have anything, but the D&D cartoon, while cool. Oh no, I'm gonna die. Crap. And I almost got it. You know what's not good enough? Almost. Oh, the whole fight reset. Alright, well, I do have to get back to work, so I think I'm going to just leave it here for now. And call it a show. Up next is Tolkien Professor after that Druid's Fire. You can find the full schedule over on twitch.tv/LotroStream. I'll be back next Friday with a whole lot more, and got a lot of cool things happening. So hope you're having a good time. If you're into Valars, this is your weekend. 20% off all the Valars except for the new one, and the new one is a level 140 Valar. So hope you have a great weekend, and I will talk to you all next week. Have fun.